Shalom to the nation of Israel. First and foremost, before I get into my lesson, I want to start off by giving all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone that teach and that rule well today. And peace and salutation also to the fellow laborers that's in the ministry and the believers that scatter worldwide in all truth and sincerity, day in and day out. Once again, shalom. So basically, I'm just going to get into a quick lesson or video. Okay, when it comes to the topic of discussion at hand. Okay, when it comes to recent news. Okay, mainly here in South Carolina, where I reside at. Okay, out of the Midlands. Okay, and as you can see, the latest story off of NBC News. Okay, which this tape took place in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. As you can see, store owner found not guilty of murder in 2023, killing a black teen in South Carolina. Okay, yeah, you can clearly see a heathen. Okay, a Chinese. Okay, which the Chinese, so-called Chinese, are the biblical Moabites. Okay, and just to show you, when it comes to you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, okay, you tribes, you Israelites, that we have enemies. Okay, and we know, we always, when it comes to the Hebrew Israelites, okay, in particular, which I learned from the men of Great Millstone, okay, and when it comes to us out there on the highways and byways, okay, and this word being pushed by the way of the internet, okay, we always known to get on these other nations or give warning to you Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans when it comes to these other nations, these heathens, that they are our enemies, okay, and mainly Esau, Edom, the so-called white race, okay, but these other nations as well, okay, such as the Chinese, okay, Moab, okay, Ammon, okay, the Japanese, Ham, the original Africans, okay, the Arabs, okay, which are the Arabs today, which are the biblical Ishmaelites, okay, and so forth and on, man, okay, the East Indians, okay, which go back to Elam, okay, all these heathen nations, okay, they have that hatred towards you tribes, man, okay, as the Lord always make that separation, okay, which the nation of Israel, we represent the righteous of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, the Lord's chosen people, okay, when it comes to the Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, and these heathens represent the wicked, okay, start with the Edomites, the so-called white race, man, okay, and the Lord making that separation now, okay, to show you tribes, man, who your enemies are, man, okay, in this case, when it comes to this Moabite, okay, the Chinese, man, okay, and like I said, it happened in 2023, okay, going on 3 years ago, okay, and I'm gonna read the article, okay, but like I say, ever since when that incident took place, okay, you had a bunch of protesting, riots, okay, with mainly uh, um the smashing of his store, okay, his convenience store, okay, when it comes to this Moabite, okay, and when it comes to these heathen, they're always known to, when it comes to the oppression of Jake, and I say Jake, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, okay, when it comes to the nation of Israel, when it comes to certain neighborhoods that our people reside in, when it comes to the that our people have to go to, okay, which is the curses that we're under the curses, Deuteronomy chapter 28, okay, verses 16 through 68, and the Lord set these heathens up over us. Start with, like I say, start with the Edomites, the so-called white race, and these heathen nations that have over that's over here, ruling over us, okay, or helping or pressing us, okay. Hey, like I said, because when it comes to some of these, most of these Chinese stores, okay, or establishment, such as the Chinese restaurants, convenience stores, the salons, the spa, okay, when it comes to Moab, okay, majority of our people attend those things or do business with them, okay, and long as these heathens see an opportunity when it comes to getting Jake money to help better them, okay, when it comes to their wealth, Okay, when it comes to them providing for their family, when it comes to these heathens, yeah, they're okay with that. Okay, hey, but soon, yeah, you can go in these heathen stores and you could be short, okay, a couple of dollars or cents. Hey, they look at you, okay, they won't give you the, won't sell you the product, okay, they turn you around, okay. Hey, some of them, they'll, chase Jake out of these stores, okay. They always surveilling Jake, okay. So they always, oppressing Jake, man. Okay, because, here in America, the typical stereotype when you see a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American man, especially a man, okay, or a young teen, okay, go ahead and expect trouble. That this place already pushing the stereotype that we end up with thugs, gangsters, low lives, okay, 3/5 of a man, okay, we nobodies, okay. And when it comes to Israel, okay, and like I said, they due to the curses. And majority of people, they fit those categories, those certain stereotypes, which a lot of our people can be a hazard or chaotic, okay, to the neighborhood, their own neighborhoods, okay, or when it comes to the certain heathen nations, establishments, okay. But that's the 2/3, man, okay, because we know amongst them, 2/3 of our people are found wicked men or wicked individuals, and that's why the Lord is going to bring judgment upon the 2/3, okay. Yeah, because at this time, the Lord only concerned about the elect. Okay, when it comes to us, man, the hopeful elect, the 144,000 and the 1/3 that repenting and coming back and acknowledging Yahweh Shema Shai. Okay, and eventually the Lord going to deliver the elect in the times to come, especially when it comes to Jacob's trouble. Okay, hey, but like I'm about to read this article. Hey, even though this judgment of the Lord, okay, that happened 3 years ago. Okay, like I say, 3 years ago, then they finally came to the verdict of the trial when it comes to Moab. Hey, they let them all basically scot-free. Okay, and I'll go into more intel as I, reading the article. But let me continue on. Well, I'll read it over again. Store owner found not guilty of murder in 2023, killing a black teen in South Carolina. Okay, and usually it be the one that do the killing. Like I say, be a so-called white individual, okay, or Edomite. Okay, but in this case, a Moabite. Okay, and you don't have plenty of situations of these heathens outside of the so-called white man. Okay, Esau, Edom. Okay, that oppress Jake or murder Jake or senseless murder. Okay, but this is just the latest, and it says Chika, Chiki, Rick, Chow, Metain. He shot 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton in the back because he was trying to defend his son. Okay, and it says Columbia, South Carolina. A South Carolina jury found a store owner not guilty of murder Monday, okay, in the 2023 shooting of a black 14-year-old, okay. And like I say, being here in South Carolina, okay, people on social media reacting to the verdict, okay, they protesting at this time, okay, upset, okay. And it says the jury returned the verdict for Chiki Rick Chow, 61, who is Asian, a Moabite, shot service service Carmack Belton in the back after chasing him from his convenience store in Columbia. He maintained he acted to defend his son. Okay, so they already show you, okay, the madness that is about to go into. And the killing sent waves of anguish and grief through the African American community, okay, which are Jake's Israelites, man, because we're not Africans, okay? Okay, we're Israelites, okay, in particular, the so-called Negros from the tribe of Judah, okay? And it says, and in Richland County, where nearly half of the population is black, okay, after the verdict was read, sobs and cries of distress could be heard from Carmack Belton family seated, okay, in the gallery. Child sat silently frozen before slowly bowing his head onto his in-locked hands. Okay, let me see what's going on now. I know they got more. Okay, continue to read. Okay, it says def defense defense lawyer Jack Swirling said that they were very pleased with the verdict, but also feel for Carmack built-in family. Okay, and I heard the words that when it comes to the child, the individual that shot the young Jake. Okay, that he was trying to apply for an attorney. Okay, in Columbia. Okay, and no attorney or law firms would have take the case. Okay, and so he went to another county. Okay, so to hire a law firm or attorney. Okay, and basically this here in South Carolina, they say the law firm or attorney that he had got, okay, was a so-called black man on top of that. So you got uproars on that about that amongst here in the Carolinas, or the Carolina here in South Carolina. People, in the uproar of that the attorney that he hired was a so-called black man, okay, that got him off. Okay, saying that this man, the attorney that he hired, always been known to get murderers off due to the money. Okay, and that's all they're really about, man. Okay, money. Okay, you already know pretty sure the jurisdictions that hold a trial. Okay, when it comes to the jury, okay, when it comes to the judge, okay, they upset about that. Okay, most of them are gonna be Edomites. Okay, yeah, but they upset about that too. That the law firm that he went to, the attorney he went to, was a so-called black man that helped him get off with his child, man. Okay, and it says, my heart goes out. So this is the attorney that he hired. Okay, child. It says my heart goes out to them, but 14-year-old kids should not be roaming the streets of Columbia or South Carolina with a semi-automatic pistol loaded and ready to fire, he said. Okay, so they said that he had a weapon. Okay, the young Jake. Okay, Carmack's Belton family did not speak to the reporters outside the court. The solitaire, okay, who represent his family, okay, the Jake family. Brian E. Gibson did not immediately respond to an email requesting comment. Prosecutors and defense lawyer in closing argument painted different pictures of the 2023 shooting. So it took them 3 years, man, to come with a verdict to say that Moab, okay, was not guilty. Okay, so that's gonna lead to more uproars at this time, man. Okay, more protesting as what's going on now in the Columbia. Okay, prosecutors said Child acted in anger because he wrongly thought the team had stolen 4 bottles of water from the store. So over a bottle of water, man. Okay. Then, of course, they're going to say he felt threatened due to his son, because they say the son chased him out of the store. Then on top of that, the young Jake, okay, Cyrus, he had a automatic pistol, okay, on him. Okay. And it says, because he was wrongly thought the team had stolen 4 bottles of water from the store, and the defense lawyer said Child fired to defend his son only after the team pointed a gun at him. Okay, this case is not about a shoplifter This case is about a father who sees a gun pointed at his son and had to make a decision. Defense attorney Sean Kent told the jury during closing arguments. So you see how they defend Moab, man? Okay? How the system more and more show you who they for and who they really against. Okay, when it comes to the juristic system. Okay? The defense attorney said Andy Child testified that Carmack Barton pointed a gun at him. Prosecutors acknowledged Carmack Barton had a semi-automatic pistol. Okay, you know these young teens nowadays, they do, you know, as they got the saying, the YNs, okay, the newest stereotype. Okay, or, you know, they like to, you know, be out in the hood or the streets, certain neighborhoods, you know, driving around, heavily armed. They endorse it through the music, the drill music. Okay, so they ain't no surprise. Okay, but like I said, ultimately it's judgment, and ultimately to show you the curses on our nation. Okay, and it just show you that the wicked of our people, the 2/3, man. Okay, and like I said, eventually all of it is judgment of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And it's also letting our people know that this place America is our captivity, and that the Lord set up these heathens, our enemies, over us, man. Okay, that's why the Lord set up the prophets to go out there and give that warning and teach repentance. Okay, great more judgment is gonna come by the wrath of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, which the Lord is bringing judgment every day. Okay, on you tribes, man, by the hands of our enemies. Okay, they even amongst our own people murdering each other senseless, man. Okay, and so this is the Lord's judgment. Okay, and it says prosecutors acknowledged Carmack Belton had a semi-automatic pistol, but they say it fell on the ground during the chase. Okay, so he wasn't no threat anymore. Okay, and he never threatened anyone with it. Prosecutors said Child chased the team more than 130 yards from the store. Okay, so that was the wrath of the Lord on Moab, man. Okay, 130 yards from the store. Okay, but Moab could have easily just gave up and let him go. Okay, and spare him. Okay, but now he shot him down. Okay, 130 yards from the store, man. Okay, Gibson told the juries that Child chased a kid down, shot him in the back. Hey, so then he shot him in the back, man. Okay, so that's defenseless. During closing arguments, Gibson placed a bottle of water before the jury. Gibson said that Child, at the end of the day, believed that a human is not more than that. Okay, and that's how Moab is. To show you that Moab had a hatred for you tribes too, man. You Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. When it comes to these so-called Chinese, man. Okay. And it says Gibson said multiple witnesses testified that they didn't see. So you had even witnesses that didn't see anything in Carmack Barton's hands, and didn't see him point a gun as he ran from the store. Okay, then they say that the gun already fell. Okay, so basically, when it comes to Moab, his son, he wasn't a threat no more, man. Okay, for his life. Okay, but Moab, that anger that Lord put on Moab, okay, to the point he chased the young Jake down and shot him in the back. Okay, then they said when he shot him in the back, he fell once. Okay, he fell, and he got up. They went to go run again, wounded, and Moab shot him a second time, man. Okay, so that was an attempt to kill, man. Okay, or attempt to murder. Well, basically kill. Okay, with murder, cause you know, and it says, and didn't see him point a gun as he ran from the store. Nobody testified that happened that doesn't have the last name Child. Okay, me, they ain't no Chinese people ain't testified. Okay, because all of them gonna stick together, man. Okay, especially when it comes against you tribes, man. Okay, Gibson said the fatal shooting prompted Vergals and protests outside the store. Empty water bottles were arranged to spell out Cyrus at 1/2023 Virgil. Okay, so that just show you, man. Okay, but all of it's the judgment of the Lord, and all of it shows, and that's the young Jake right there, and all of it shows that, okay, and we in the time of the Lord's judgment, and it showed that this place is not our rest, man. Okay, that the curses are upon us as a nation, and the only way that you can be delivered from out of those curses when it comes to you so-called Negro, Latinos, and Native Americans, okay, is to repent, okay? But once again, we know only the elect is going to be covered in these times, man, okay? Because 2/3, once again, going to be judged according to Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8, okay? As we're approaching the time of Jacob's trouble. And like I said, the Lord brings judgment every day and use these heathens, okay? In this case, Moab, okay? And after 3 years, okay, he found out guilty, okay? And now they got, sources saying that he fled, okay? Because now he, due to that, Jake threatened him, okay? They done tore up the store one time, okay? The first time during the shooting, the protesting, okay? But now they saying after the verdict, he done fled, okay? They threatened Moab family. So I guess he took his whole family. They, got out of Dodge, man. Okay? So look at him, man. Okay? Hey, but the thing about it, man, when it comes to these heathens, hey, they soon gonna be up under us, man. Okay, when Yahweh shall return to take Esau, Edom, and these heathens out of power, man, and liberate the nation of Israel. Okay, start with the elect and our kingdom being established. Okay, because these heathen nations, they go into captivity. Okay, start with the Edomites, man. Right along with start with the Esau, Edom, and also these other nations, man. Okay, including Moab. Okay, the Chinese, man. Okay, and we know we eventually, through the Spirit, that Jake, the Lord brought judgment upon him. But in the kingdom, as he's gonna be reborn or reincarnated, okay, he's gonna be born righteousness, okay, or into the the kingdom, and all Israel gonna be righteous at that time, and all Israel, okay, we're gonna own Esau, Edom, and these cities, okay, and child and his family, or especially child, he ain't gonna get away, okay, yeah, through the Spirit, cause most likely, yeah, when Jake, when we in our kingdom, and that Jake that he shot down, hey, most likely the Lord gonna allow that Jake, okay, to put child, his family in captivity, okay, and not just speaking as a man, okay, hey, but we're gonna get our as a nation, we're gonna get our recompense, man, when it comes to the rule of Yahweh Shema Shah over you heathens, man, okay, but let me get this and get a couple of scriptures that'll be the lesson. Like I said, I just want to read that article, okay. Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 5. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem? Or who shall bemoan thee? Or who shall go aside to ask how thou doest? Okay, and that's these other nations. Like I said, because these other nations are our enemies. They don't give a damn, man. The state that we in, okay? And they help further the curses, okay? And the only ones that bemoaning, okay, you tribes, are the prophets, man. Out here sighing and crying for all the abomination that be done in the midst thereof, okay? Hey, but we come to the point that we know eventually, which we already know, the point that the Lord is going to bring judgment on 2/3 of our people, okay? And they have been warned, okay? And like I said, the Lord bring judgment on this young generation, okay? All these tribes of our nation, men, women, and children, okay? Because they got to be judged for what they did in their past life, okay? Once again, which is reincarnation, okay? Those that can receive it, okay? And so these other nations, they look down upon us as a whole, okay? But ain't nobody fighting for you Negro, Latino, Native Americans for justice when it comes to these other nations, man. Okay? Because they are our enemies. Let's get this. What that's Lamentations chapter 2, verse 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their head at the daughter of Jerusalem. Okay, going to these other nations, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Yeah, that's how people look. Okay, they look at, well, they see the nation look at us. Okay, as we in our low state. Okay, like I say, they give us the stereotype. Okay, which a lot of people have forwarded, that we ain't up but niggas. Okay, on spits, tomahawks. Okay, wetbacks, thugs, gangsters, hoodlums. Okay, terrorizing in the neighborhood. Okay, and you could think Esau Edom pushing that through the certain industries that a lot of our people don't sell out to and promote it. Okay, when it comes to certain rappers or entertainers, actors. Okay, that our people influence to live that type of alternative lifestyle. Okay, but when you see, the ghettos, the hoods, the slums. Okay, that majority of our people are at, and these heathens, they living in the good part, the outskirt of the neighborhoods. Okay, after they leave out of their establishment. Okay, that when they don't make money and progress or and gain process artillery on gain monetary gain. Okay, money when it comes to their establishment and you so-called Negro, Latino, Native American neighborhood, man. Okay, like I say, when it comes to these Chinese stores, Chinese restaurants, spas, salons. Okay, uh, um, uh, um, the Chinese, they known as having the owning the hair shops. Okay, the East Indians. Okay, having their restaurants. Okay, they convenience stores. Okay, liquor stores that they own. Okay, that majority of they make they prosper off you Negro, Latino, Native Americans. And when they close shop, they going back into their gated community. Okay, amongst their own relatives. Okay, peaceful neighborhoods. Okay, and if you even got certain jakes that live amongst them, they look at them, giving that hateful look. Okay, and it says, but we at our low state, we are under the curses. Okay, but the Lord gonna liberate the curses off us eventually, starting with the elect. Okay, when Yahushua return, man. Okay, and when Yahushua destroy this place, America, by the way of thermonuclear missiles. Okay, and the only ones that gonna be delivered is the elect by the way of the chariots. Okay, when Yahushua return with the hosts of angels, man, what the world call UFOs. Okay, and no other nation outside of the nation Israel, okay, is not going to be delivered, man. If your bloodline doesn't go back to Negro, Latino, and Native American descent, because you're going to have Israelites looking like other nations, but they got to be from the bloodline. Okay, so only the elect is going to be delivered, but 2/3 of our people are going to be destroyed, right along with the rest of these heathens, man. Okay, and it says, and that's going to lead into Yahushua establish the kingdom of Israel here on the earth, in the land of Israel, which that land gonna be cleansed by fire, because the people that's over there are not the true original inheritors. Okay, and in the process of time, the Lord gonna descend the elect back here on the earth, and we're gonna rule and start with the heathen nation that be reserved after the Third World War. Okay, start with the Edomites and the rest of these heathen nations. Okay, including the Chinese. Okay, like I said, they're going into captivity. And those these heathen nations that perish on this side, they're gonna come back in the kingdom being slaves, man. Okay, through the bloodline that be reserved, man. Okay, reincarnated, man. And the 2/3 that perish on the side, they're gonna come back in the kingdom, being sons and daughters are reincarnated through the bloodline of the elect. Okay, and it says, and all thy enemies have opened their mouth against thee. They hiss and gnash their teeth. They say, we have swallowed her up. Certainly this is the day that we look for. We have found, we have seen it. Yeah, so these heathens, okay, and these heathens, they know the history. They know that we're the Lord's chosen people. They know that, we once ruled over them. Okay? And so now we're in the time they're ruling over us. Okay, as the Lord put the curses upon us. Okay, we know about the Atlantic slave trade. Okay, the enslavement of the Native Americans and the Latino tribes. Start with the Edomites and these other heathen nations that had a hand in it, of our downfall and them ruling over us now. Okay, due to us being disobedient. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this. Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay, going to the curses, man. How the Lord said that we didn't keep the law, statutes, commandments. Okay, when it comes to the covenant. Okay, the Lord, we're going to put the curses upon us, man. Okay, as a nation. And we're feeling those curses now. Okay. And it says, Deuteronomy chapter 28. I'll start off at verse 65. And it says, and among these nations shall thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy feet have rest. Okay, captivity, hard labor, working. Okay, trying to survive or provide. Okay, for ourselves, for our family. Okay, and constantly being oppressed. And it says, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling of heart, a failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have no assurance of thy life. And that's daily. Okay? When it comes to these curses, when it comes to being oppressed by the system, and Esau, Edom, and these heathens, okay, that help aiding into our affliction. Okay, these curses, man. We don't have no assurance here of our life, man. It doesn't matter how much you got so-called successful Negroes, Latino, Native Americans that's trying to prosper here. Okay, if we come to the point of all hell about to break loose, man. Civil wars, race wars, clash wars, famine, pestilence. Okay, the dollar collapsing, the coming of the implementation of the RFID microchip, which is known as the mark of the beast, that's going to replace the dollar. Okay, a Jacob's trouble. Okay, martial law, detention centers. Okay, yeah, Micah 2:10. This place is not our rest, man. Okay, yeah. So these are the curses, man. Okay, that Lord brought upon us. Let's get this. Baruch chapter 3, verse 7. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name, the name, okay, the Heavenly Father name, and his Son in the Hebrew, okay, the true names, okay, the Heavenly Father name in the Hebrew, Yahweh, meaning he is, he exists, and his Son, who the word ain't called Christ, okay, which his name in Hebrew as well is Yahweh Shai, meaning he is the deliverer, or he's the savior. Okay, the power of the Israelites, man. You so-called Negros, Latinos, and Native Americans. Okay, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, the creator of all things, all nations, but this the only ones that are chosen are the Israelites. Okay, and what's proved that? The covenants, the law, statutes, commandments that was only given unto us. That's why the Lord put the curses upon us when we broke the law, statutes, commandments, and still to this day. Okay. The Lord always make that separation when it comes to these the nations, man. Okay, and we come to the understanding that who the world calls God in Christ, they are so-called dark-skinned men or dark-skinned entities. Okay, they will be classified as so-called Negroes. Okay, like I said, which the so-called Negroes today are the head tribe when it comes to Judah. Okay, let me continue on, and it says, to the intent that we should call upon thy name, okay, only the elect, okay, that's going to call upon the name of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, and that's going to be covered, okay, and that's going to be sealed and ultimately be delivered, okay. Like I said, at this time, 2/3 of our people are going to be judged, man. It start with them following after these false gods, idol worship, going after the hedonistic customs, the different sets of religions, trusting in this place, America, okay. And it says, that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in thy captivity. Okay, yeah, this place of Maryland, because we're scattered amongst all nations. Okay, but the main captivity is this place America. Okay, where majority of the tribes over here are at, man. Okay, for we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Okay, and our forefathers, okay, which we are our forefathers coming back, paying for our sins. Okay, when it comes to the Israelites, man, once again, reincarnation. Okay, and eventually, when it comes to judgment, if you can understand it, when it came to that 14-year-old Jake, okay, he was paying for what he did in his past life. Happily, he was judged by the way of the Lord, allowing Moab, okay, to gun him down. Okay, but there's gonna be justice though. Okay, ultimately through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Okay, you see, we come to the understanding we have in the spirit, we have a spiritual eyesight when it comes to judgment and when it comes to righteousness or justice. Okay, in due time. Okay, when it comes to these heathen nations, he said, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for reproach, a curse to be subject unto payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God." Okay, so that's why we're catching hell in this captivity, up on our enemies. Okay, due to the curses, and we going off, man. Okay, but like I said, the Lord only going to liberate the elect at this time. And when it comes to judgment of 2/3, ain't more going to come. Okay, when it comes to the wrath of the Lord, using these heathens, man, especially Esau, Edom. Okay, and when it comes to the average, when not only just martial law and and these troops, okay, portrayed and causing harm, okay, but even when it comes to these race wars, okay, that's gonna take place, man. Okay, as we're coming in the time of division, civil unrest, okay, uproars of the people, protesting, sedition, okay, insurrection, okay. So that's it on that. Let me see, and I'll probably get ready to close because I don't want to make this video too long. And let's get this, and I'll get ready to close. And it says, Psalms chapter 73, verse 8. They are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak lawfully. Okay, and that's what an example. Okay, so basically that's what an example is, speaking, oppression, wickedly of our oppression. Over there tell you that forget about slavery, forgive and forget. That's in the past. Okay, you know, and this right here. Many are cases, okay, not just this one. Okay, when it comes to unjust, according to the system, American system, for you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, when incidents like this take place and these heathens get off scot-free, okay? And he just was a owner of a store, convenience owner. Okay, how much more when it comes to these cops, the police force, when they, when a situation happened where they gunned down a Jake, unlawful according to the system, they get acquitted. They get paid relief. Okay, it shows you once again, man, this place is not our rest, man. Okay, and this place, as was deemed as an American justice system, ain't no justice for you, man. Okay, matter of fact, let me get this. Yahweh Shah only come back to bring true justice, man. Okay, yeah, like, cause everything take money. The only thing he had to do is take his money, give it to a lawyer, pay whoever's off, and he get off free. Okay, show you that this place doesn't uphold the law, statutes, commandments when it comes to the Bible, man. Okay, now they got their own jurisdiction laws, and most of it is dead set against you Jakes, man. Okay, wrongfully. Okay, and that's why you see majority of Jakes. Okay, when they get murdered. Okay, the person that murdered them, they get off free. Okay, or Jake, if they can get accused wrongly, okay, they get thrown in the prison center. Okay, how the system is set up. Okay? And some of our people, when it comes to you Negro, Latino, Native Americans, do all type of wickedness, okay, that it could be justified why they throw you in the prison center. But a lot of these things is that are at the head, okay, when it comes to Esau, Edom, okay, doing all type of wickedness. But let me get this. Isaiah chapter 10, verse 1. Woe unto you, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, that right grievous which they have prescribed. Okay, when it comes to Esau, Edom, justice system, a unjust system, especially when it comes to you Negro, Latino, and Native Americans. Okay, they look up the term on what is white collar crimes, okay, and blue collar crimes. Okay, when it comes to a certain individual that white, okay, even amongst these other nations, okay, but especially Esau, Edom, because this is kingdom. Okay, a so-called white person that can do a crime and get less time compared to a so-called black man or so-called Negro, Latino, Native American can do the same crime, okay, but get more sentences, okay? You know, so that show you, man, this place is not our rest, man. That this place is our captivity when it comes to these unrighteous decrees and the unjust system, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and end the lesson here, okay? And I pray that the lesson was edifying, okay? Hey, but they ain't gonna these heathens ain't gonna get away, man. Okay, Yahweh Shema Shai eventually gonna redeem the nation of Israel, start with the elect, and the Lord gonna give us that recompense, man. True justice. Okay? As we're gonna have our authority of our power, Yahweh Shema Shai, to rule over them. Okay? So this devil ain't gonna escape. Okay, this goop devil. And I'll keep it like that, man. So once again, I'm going to go ahead and give all praise to Yahweh Shema Shai, Bashem Rakah HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone that teach and that rule well today. And peace and salutation also to the fellow laborers that's in the ministry and the believers that's scattered worldwide in all truth and sincerity, day in and day out. Until next time, Lord willing, shalom to the whole elect. Shalom.